The European Commission is proposing alternative solutions to provide financial support to Ukraine. The president of the institution presented several options on Thursday. One is to use the European budget's room for maneuver to raise funds on the markets. Another possibility would be to let member states raise the necessary capital themselves. But Ursula von der Leyen is also proposing a third option.
Option 3 is to have a reparations loan. This is based on immobilized Russian asset. So this would mean take the cash balances from the immobilized Russian assets, hand them as a loan to Ukraine, and Ukraine has to pay back this loan if Russia pays back reparations. This is the most effective way to sustain Ukraine's defense and its economy.
This 140 billion euros loan would allow member states to avoid issuing new debt. It would involve using funds held by the Brussels-based company Euroclear. But to do so, Belgian fears must be assuaged. Brussels does not want to be left unprotected in the event of legal challenges once the war ends. Time is running out, however, as Ukraine will need fresh money in the first half of next year.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the Zaporizhzhia region on Thursday to meet with troops there. He also discussed the situation on the front line with military commanders. The visit comes as Ukrainian forces withdrew from several villages in Zaporizhzhia amid fierce fighting with Russian troops. Zelensky presented the soldiers with state awards and thanked them for their service.
Дякую ще раз за службу. Ми поспілкувалися з командирами. Будемо робити все, щоб посилювати вас. Знаємо проблеми, які є. В принципі, вони однакові на всіх напрямках.
Zelensky and the commanders on the ground reportedly discussed how to strengthen defense, staffing, and specific types of weapons and equipment. They also spoke about the development of unmanned system units and the use of robotic systems on the ground to evacuate wounded soldiers.
Germany has revamped its military service model, according to an official announcement made on Thursday. Starting from the 1st of January 2026, all men aged 18 and above would be required to register for potential military service. Around 700,000 young people, born in 2008 or later, will be contacted to complete their registrations. The new law also mandates all men of legal age to submit to medical screenings, as well as complete a questionnaire detailing their willingness to serve. As things stand, military service will remain on a voluntary basis, which Defense Minister Boris Pistorius believes will be enough.
Wir setzen ganz klar auf Freiwilligkeit. Wir gestalten einen attraktiven Dienst. Die Ausbildung verändert sich, die Bezahlung verändert sich. Das verändert sich gerade grundlegend bis hin zur Ausbildung am Drohnen. Also es ist insgesamt ein völlig neues Bild des Wehrdienstes, das da jetzt entsteht und schon begonnen hat zu entstehen.
However, if things don't go according to plan, Berlin plans to reintroduce compulsory service through a new set of legislative procedures. The move, Pistorius says, is crucial for Germany to enhance its defense readiness, as well as meet its NATO commitments, pledged to achieve by 2035.
The European Commission has unveiled Democracy Shield on Wednesday, a roadmap to better protect democracies and electoral processes from foreign interference and information manipulation, including those originating from within the bloc itself. The Commission has explicitly and pointedly included EU candidate countries in this defensive plan.
And the communication on the EU strategy. At the core of the Democracy Shield is reinforcing public trust in democracy and democratic institutions. The European Democracy Shield rests on 3 pillars. First, safeguarding our information space. Second, strengthening democratic institutions. And third, boosting our societal resilience.
The centerpiece of Democracy Shield is the creation of a European Centre for Democratic Resilience to identify destabilization operations and coordinate the work of fact-checking networks. The Commission also proposed setting up a voluntary network of influencers to hold accountable those influencers who are taking part in political campaigns. For Nathalie Loiseau, French MEP and head of the Democracy Shield Committee, the Commission must first apply the rules it adopted to regulate its online sphere.
Ce qui se passe aujourd'hui, c'est bien sûr des ingérences russes massive. C'est aussi le comportement de plateformes comme TikTok, sur lequel il y a beaucoup de questions qui sont posées, mais c'est encore plus la collusion entre l'administration américaine et les plateformes américaines. Et là-dessus, on a l'impression qu'Ursula von der Leyen a du mal à passer le cap. Elle nous dit, elle écrit qu'elle va mettre en œuvre les législations qu'on a votées. J'allais vous dire encore heureux.
Several rules aimed at protecting electoral processes have already been adopted, for example in the Digital Services Act and the AI Act. Yet under pressure from US tech giants backed by the Trump administration, Commission sanctions have yet to materialize.
Spain, Italy, Greece and Cyprus have been considered under migratory pressure by the European Commission. This means these countries faced a disproportionate level of migrant arrivals last year, including those rescued at sea. The 4 countries will therefore receive support from other EU member states as part of a solidarity mechanism proposed by the Commission. Each member state, except for those under migratory pressure, has to contribute in proportion to its population and total GDP. Member states can then choose out of 3 options. They can relocate a certain number of asylum seekers to their own territory, pay €20,000 per person they do not relocate, or finance operational support. However, some countries are still opposing the solidarity pool. Hungary, Poland and Slovakia stated they do not want to contribute either financially or by accepting migrants from other countries. Member states can apply for an exemption, but this can only be done by countries considered to be facing a significant migratory situation.
Ten years ago, Islamic State gunmen and suicide bombers rampaged through cafes, restaurants, and the Bataclan concert hall in Paris, leaving 130 people dead and hundreds injured. They struck within minutes of one another. Suicide bombers detonated outside the Stade de France. Gunmen fired on cafe terraces, and 3 attackers stormed the Bataclan at 9:47 p.m., killing 90 people before police ended the siege. 2 survivors who later died by suicide have since been recognized among the victims. The attacks were the deadliest in France since World War II, prompting the hardening of security while deepening a civic reflex for solidarity that endures a decade on. As France prepares to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the attacks that reshaped the country's sense of safety and purpose, the date reopens wounds for many survivors. Paris is marking the anniversary with a sequence of tributes led by President Emmanuel Macron and Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo at each attack site. The commemorations will culminate with the opening of a memorial garden opposite City Hall that includes plantings that echo the attack sites and benches for reflection.
The knockout stage of the FIFA Under-17 World Cup Qatar 2025 kicks off on Friday, with 16 matches set to decide who moves on from the round of 32, all happening at Doha's world-class Aspire Zone. Unlike any other tournament, almost all matches are taking place at a single venue. With the pitches so close together, fans can catch multiple games in a single visit.
When older players retire, they will be the fresh ones, ready to give out new hopes and aspirations to their countries.
This year's tournament began with a record 48 teams, the largest Under-17 World Cup ever staged. Now, 32 nations remain in the hunt, from global teams like Brazil, France, Argentina and Spain to emerging sides like Burkina Faso, Uganda and Venezuela.
The Under-17 is always full of stars. These are going to be future stars, best player of the next generation for sure. That's why our slogan is Tomorrow's GOAT. So I think it's a good idea for them to start here in Doha. I think they'll enjoy their time a lot, and that's why we have it for 5 consecutive years.
Among the key matches to watch this weekend, Portugal takes on Belgium in an all-European affair. France clashes with Ecuador, while Switzerland faces Egypt. Saturday brings more knockout action. Italy meets Czechia, Korea Republic challenges England, and Croatia goes up against Uzbekistan. Mohamed Alashi, your news, Doha.
La galleria metteva in comunicazione l'arena del Colosseo con un settore dello spazio del Colosseo che ancora non possiamo essere sicuri potesse essere il quartiere dell'anfiteatro. Il corridoio coperto era rivestito da intonaci dipinti, da stucchi e in una prima fase anche da marmi, ed era sicuramente attraversato dall'imperatore e dalla sua famiglia, che arrivava così sul podio imperiale senza essere visto e come una sorta di epifania.
The lighting of this gallery is marked by two different systems: a warm light that indicates the path to visitors and enhances the beautiful marble of the walls, and a colder light recalling the natural light that used to seep through the holes on the ceiling.
This is my fourth time to the Colosseum. I've never been on the night tour, and I do have to say that it is amazing down there at night, an entirely different vibe than it is during the day when there are so many people. The night tour, you get to sort of feel the history a little more down there. You definitely, the quietness, the stillness, it is an excellent tour. I would highly recommend it.